Good evening. Today is Wednesday, April 2nd, 2025. Now we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. (1.04) Approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. 2.01, approval modification of minutes for the March 5th, 2025 Governing Board meeting. Do I have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from the March 5th Governing Board meeting.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 3.01, approval of the consent agenda. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Now, over to you, Mike McGinney.
I like that. That's super fast. Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. Dr. Driscoll, I have two individuals this evening that we'd like to recognize. First, I'll highlight an individual that you just approved on the personnel summary. Tonight, you approved Miss Rebecca Copeland to the position of principal of Aspire at Arredondo, and I'd like to share a little bit about her background. Rebecca earned a bachelor's degree in education from Northern Arizona University, a master's of education from Northern Arizona University, and a master's in educational leadership from Grand Canyon University. Rebecca has served in public education for the past 20 years, serving in such roles as elementary teacher at Knox Gifted Academy, Weinberg Gifted Academy, and most recently, Dean of Students at Ryan Elementary, all in the Chandler Unified School District. Those who know Rebecca have shared that she is a very passionate, skilled, and innovative leader who has the ability to bring new energy and light into any environment. Rebecca is thrilled to start her career here with Tempe Elementary School District as her new role as principal. Congratulations, Rebecca.
Good evening, Madam President, esteemed members of the Governing Board, Dr. Driscoll, and Tempe Elementary Administration. I'm absolutely thrilled to be here tonight, and I want to express my sincere gratitude for the opportunity to serve as the incoming principal at Arredondo. As we look ahead to the upcoming school year, I'm filled with excitement and a deep sense of purpose. I'm committed to continuing to promote an environment where every student feels valued, supported, and empowered to reach their full potential, ensuring that each child's unique needs are met. I will strive to uphold the mission and vision of the district and work with the staff, district, students, and families to inspire curiosity, encourage students to find their unique voice, and be boundless in their potential. Thank you all for this opportunity, and thank you to my beautiful family for your support. Oh, yes, I have. I'll start the other way this time, since I was called out for a little bit. For my husband, Michael, who's always been my biggest supporter. My beautiful 14-year-old daughter, Grayson, who's a freshman in high school, and my lovely Lilia, who's a sixth grader, incoming junior high student. So, yes.
All right, Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Driscoll, I'd like to highlight another individual you approved on the personnel summary tonight. Tonight, you approved Anna Cole to the position of principal of Mosley Middle School, and I'll share a little bit about her background. Anna earned a bachelor's degree in elementary education from Hope College and a master's degree in educational leadership from Indiana University, Fort Wayne. Anna has served in public education for over the past 17 years as a middle school science teacher, middle school biology teacher, Dean of Students, Assistant Principal, and most recently, Principal of Desert Foothills Junior High in the Washington Elementary School District. Those who know Anna best have shared that she has a strong ability to make a significant impact on any school community, demonstrating her exceptional leadership, commitment to best practices in education, and support for both staff and students. Anna is very excited to start her journey in the Tempe Elementary School District as her role as principal as soon as she moves back from Michigan. So congratulations, Anna. And Anna, you're okay, there you go. She's on the phone.
Yes, all right. Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, and Dr. Driscoll. Thank you for this great opportunity to lead at Mosley Middle School. I am excited to learn all of the amazing things happening in the Tempe Elementary School District. I come from a family of educators and have a great passion for helping both staff and students be successful. I look forward to building on the great systems and supports already in place at Mosley Middle School and doing what is best in order for all students to succeed. Thank you again, and go Roadrunners.
All right, thank you very much. And it is customary that after this portion, you can go home, so thank you. And Anna, you can hang up the phone. Welcome to TD3.
Thank you all, and I'd also like to thank Eric Whitehorn for his donation of $1,000 to Tempe Elementary Schools. Now we're at 4.01 to celebrate excellence. Dr. Driscoll.
All right. Good evening, Madam President and members of the board. Tonight I have a few items to celebrate. For a second consecutive year, Tempe Elementary School District has been named the top elementary school district by Arizona's largest and most comprehensive business opinion poll, Ranking Arizona. This award is validation from staff and community that Tempe Elementary is welcoming, believing, and invested in all students. Congratulations. In celebration of Women in Construction Week, Sunt Construction visited second graders at Thew Elementary to inspire and educate. They read The House That She Built, a book showcasing women's roles in the construction industry, and gave students insight into career possibilities in this field. We're grateful for Sunt Construction for helping our students see the limitless opportunities their futures can hold. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks to funding from the Fiesta Bowl charity, 70 boys from Mosley, Connolly, and Shamley had the opportunity to attend a free leadership-focused camp hosted by the MVP Foundation over spring break. Located in Williams, Arizona, the camp offered outdoor activities and seminars aimed at developing confidence, teamwork, and leadership skills. We're grateful for this partnership and the impact it has had made on our students. Thank you so much, Amy. All right, this is a plug. This is a reminder that we will honor our legacy of excellence at our 150th celebration event this Saturday, April 5th, from 9 a.m. to noon at our district office. This event will feature a hallway history exhibition, student performances, and a special proclamation by the city of Tempe. All are welcome to come and celebrate with us on this day. This school year, we have sadly lost two remarkable individuals whose contributions helped shape the fabric of our district, Geneva Epps Mosley and Joseph P. Spricali. Geneva Epps Mosley was a trailblazer in education and advocacy, leaving a powerful legacy of breaking barriers and inspiring future generations. Joseph P. Spricali, a cherished school and community leader, impacted countless lives with his dedication to service, leadership, and student success. Their contributions remind us of the profound and lasting influence that dedicated educators have on the lives of others. We honor their excellence, celebrate their impact, and remain grateful for their place in our district's history. And that concludes my Celebrate Excellence for this board meeting. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Driscoll. 5.01, presentation to the board, annual comprehensive financial report, single audit report, and USFR compliant questionnaire. I'm going to hand it over to you, Eric. Thank you very much.
All right. President Ewers, members of the board, Dr. Driscoll, thanks for having me tonight. This is our annual audit presentation. So this is like I said, it's annual. So every year we have to have an audit from an external audit firm, and so we had that this year. And then it is required by law that that the board members accept it. So it's not You're not approving it because the auditors don't really care whether you approve it or not. The audit is the audit. But the legislature had passed a law a few years ago saying that the boards have to accept it by roll call vote was the term, but really it just needs to be recorded. It doesn't have to be member Ewers, or member Windsor, how do you vote? It just needs to be recorded. So that's maybe more of a documenting thing that we have to say who votes for it or to accept it. 3 parts, financial statement audit. So essentially the income, balance sheet, those kind of things. The single audit, which that's going to be the federal grants. So all the federal monies that we have spent, which has been a lot in recent years. It will be less in future years. And then the USFR compliance questionnaire. So the USFR compliance questionnaire is something that all school districts in Arizona have to do. It's 168 questions, and it's basically just yes or no. It's kind of like a checkup, if you will. You go to the doctor and, you never really see a perfect compliance questionnaire, but there's things you can always work on, and this kind of shows you, okay, work on this and work on that. So I'll start with the financial statement one. And it was a clean audit. An unmodified audit opinion is what you want, and that is what we got. So no findings. A boring audit is the best audit. We don't want any big shocking pieces of news or anything like that, and that's what we wanted from that one. So when they look at a financial statement audit, they're gonna look at the internal controls and then the financial transactions. So the internal controls are gonna show whether we have those controls in place to mitigate the risk of misstatement. And so even if everything is stated correctly, if we do not have the internal controls in place to catch a significant error, then we could still have a finding for that. And then the financial transactions, they look at whether we can do something. So it's not a performance audit. It's not saying, oh, you're really efficient with your funds. They're just saying, are you allowed to do that with your money? Similarly, if you're buying supplies in the capital fund, which is not allowed, or vice versa, if you're buying capital in your M&O, we're not allowed to do that. Whether they're not looking at, oh, you're really spending that money wisely. I think we do a good job of that, but that's not, I just want to make sure that's not what they're looking for in this audit. It's just whether, more for the users of the financial statement, is the revenue correctly stated, are the assets correctly stated, not whether we're doing it, or buying the right stuff necessarily. For the single audit, that is the audit of our federal programs. So they looked at 2 major programs. So not surprising, they were both in response to the pandemic. So coronavirus state and local fiscal recovery funds. We had a lot of smallish kind of funds or grants out there that add up. They're kind of in the same cluster. And so they looked at that, and then they looked at the ESSER funds. So in total, there were more than $25 million in federal expenditures that we had this year, which going forward will be a lot less. One, just the title grants, the IDEA grants, those are going down. But the bigger thing is the ESSER grants are gone. So a lot of those expenses are not going to be there for next year. And again, this one, clean audit, no findings. They look at internal controls for this and then allowability as well on that. And then the USFR compliance questionnaire, I think it's 168, I'm going to miscount it, but it's at least 160 questions on that. And we did have 5 findings on that. So we had 3 attendance findings. One finding for the AFR. There were some changes that did that. The AFR got in, the number got in the AFR. We did a journal entry, but it didn't get in there. So it was a slight data entry issue there. And then a budget submission, which I will take completely responsibility for. ADE added they changed to a new submission portal. I thought I had submitted it. I had not. So that was my fault on that one. That was where I learned. It was the first time I used it, and I guess I did not use it right. So we got an email from ADE saying, hey, you haven't submitted this yet. You might want to do it. So we did it then, but it was after the deadline. So attendance, 3 attendance findings is pretty good. I'll be honest with you. I was at a board meeting last night, and the auditor said, overall, if you have fewer than 10 findings in the USFR, it's an A. So we have 5, so I think we're doing pretty good on that. And we had 6 attendance findings last year, so we cut it down to 3. So those attendance findings were, the membership and absence reconciliation was slightly off. And then a partial day absence. So if Johnny leaves at 9:18, is it a quarter day or a half day? It wasn't quite calculated correctly on that. And then there was one where we did not have proof of Arizona residency, which is a requirement upon enrollment. But as you might know, you don't have to, it does not look into legal residency or anything like that. So it really just wants to know, are you an Arizona resident? So I think this question is more relevant in Yuma, Bullhead City, somewhere where you could be crossing the state line. No one is coming in from California to come to school, no matter how great we are. No one is coming in from out of state every day to go to school here. So it's kind of one of the, yes, we should have had.
We do have them coming from Peoria.
Peoria is great, but it's in state. But we should have had the proof of Arizona residency, but we're not gonna not have the kid go to school because their parents have not submitted that proof of residency. So we still wanna get the kids into school and educated, and we will try to make our best efforts to make sure that the parents submit that proof of Arizona residency. I'm not worried that they are not Arizona residents on that, but technically, upon enrollment, that is something we should have. And so we try to do that, but we'd rather educate the kids than send them away because they don't have that form. So overall, I think we're 3 findings, half of what we had last year on attendance, so I think that is moving in the right direction. So overall, clean financial statement audit, clean single audit, and then we had the 5 findings on the USFR compliance questionnaire. So 8 last year, so we cut it by 3 on that. So if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer any.
Mr. Lemon?
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you for the wonderful report. It's what, 26 years that we've been getting an award for
I think it might be more than that, I don't know, maybe.
somewhere in that
Yeah,
neighborhood.
yeah.
But thank you for continuing on with that tradition.
No, thank you.
The question on the ESSER funds going away, and I think we have some carryover that we're looking at, not from ESSER, but from some of the other programs to backfill some of those areas where we were using it. Is that correct?
That's correct. So we were able to use some of the expenses that are regular expenses. We were able to shift those into ESSER to create kind of an artificially higher carryover in M&O. So we have a bigger cushion than we normally have. So we, like this year, we're spending more money than we're bringing in. But we had a large carryover that we're spending down so that we didn't have to make drastic cuts already.
Thank you.
Mr. Thierry? Oh. Yeah. Mrs. Windsor?
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Thompson, for your report. I had a question about ESSER funds. Did they audit all 1, 2, and 3, or just,
I believe it's all under the same umbrella.
okay,
We didn't have any ESSER 1 expenses for this year. I think it was, I don't remember if we had ESSER 2 still on there. The vast majority would have been ESSER 3.
okay, and can we expect any future audits for ESSER? Or does that go away after this audit?
So-
Risk of that.
I would not, so technically, we had until September of this fiscal year to spend it. But how the auditors select those programs to audit would have had to have been a major program. And we tried to get all of the expenses into before June 30th. Technically, we could have had something in that 3-month window. I don't think we had anything, and if we did, it would be small enough that it probably would not be a major program. So I don't anticipate any future ESSER audits.
Okay, thank you. And then just for people who are listening, I'm always very protective of front office staff and all that they have to manage throughout the day. But I wanted to highlight that proof of Arizona residency is a little bit more complicated than you just do it when they enroll, because there are certain groups of students that are exemptions
Yes.
to that. So you want to explain that?
Well, so if you are an on-house student, a McKinney-Vento student, you don't have to, because you don't have a permanent residence. If you qualify in those areas, then essentially the proof of Arizona residency requirement is waived. So you don't have to have those requirements. So there are times where you can't provide it, but we're not gonna hold that against you on that one. And usually we can check a box and say, all right, there's a reason for that.
Yeah, and even more complicated, people can declare McKinney Vento status, and then after the investigation is done and find they're actually not, then you have to go back and get proof of residency, which is complicated as well for office staff. So I just want to make sure that people who are listening don't hear that that's a very like black and white transaction, that everybody comes with enrollment, all the paperwork, and they're good to go. Like that, it's not that simple. So thank you for explaining that. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. I'd like to just say, after doing financial reporting, when you run for public office, I can't imagine how much more complicated it is and how you do it. It's a lot. And like you said, how many pages did you say that one report was?
Well, the USFR questionnaire is 168 pages.
Yeah, so-
168 questions.
Kudos to you and your team. Thank you. Thank you for continuing to keep this district in good faith with our community. And again, thank you to the office staff for helping to report and finding it really necessary to make sure when these kids are going into dentist appointments and coming back or leaving or half days and all of that, for understanding how important it is when it comes to you. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Having no blue cards, I'm going to move to 7.01, discussion, consideration, and possible approval of a data sharing agreement between Tempe Elementary Schools and the Boys and Girls Club of the Valley. Dr. Driscoll.
Yes, this data share agreement is if the Boys and Girls Club are successful in getting the 21st Century Grant through the state of Arizona. And so if they don't get it, then we would not share this information with them. The 21st Century Grant, there's a variety of things that you can use and be eligible for. For us, the Boys and Girls Club will be providing after-school services for students at Chamblee and Frank Elementary. And so that would be free of charge for those students and families if they were awarded this 21st Century Grant.
Okay, do I have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the data sharing agreement between Tempe Elementary Schools and the Boys and Girls Club of the Valley.
Second,
Second?
discussion?
Yeah.
Mr. Thierry.
Thank you, Madam President. If someone can help me, what sorts of things are they asking for?
Right here, it's like name of student, demographic, discipline. So we have, like Arredondo right now is a school that we have. It's stuff that goes right to the state that they technically already have, because we're a school district and they have that information. We have to submit it, but it's that, let me grab it, I can tell you the other things. There we go. So, student demographic, name, date of birth, gender, grade level and school name, academic performance, their grades, assessment, standardized tests, attendance records, daily attendance, tardiness and absences, and then behavioral data, discipline actions, suspension referrals, and then program participation. So how much are they at the Boys and Girls Club utilizing this service? So hours of participation, engagement, and completion status. Which is pretty standard in most of our stuff when we deal with the state. So it's not anything that that we're unaware. Normally, if they ask for stuff that we're like, no, we're not going to do that, and we take it out. But that's part of that grant. So we have to do the same thing with our Arredondo 21st Century. We have to give them that information to get that money.
Yeah, all sounds reasonable. All right, thank you.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes. All right, 7.02, discussion, consideration, and possible approval of a contract with Schneider Electric for $11.48 million for utility cost saving projects. And Eric Thompson, I'm going to turn it over to you.
All right, I'm back. Thank you, President Ewers, members of the board. So this is the phase 2 part for the energy saving projects that we've been looking at with Schneider Electric. So the other ones hit on phase 1 hit on a few different areas. This is just solar. And so it's part of our attempt to kind of leverage some of these bond dollars that we have to get long-term savings in the M&O fund. So it's better for the environment, just, to use the solar energy, but also it helps us get more flexibility on the M&O side because we're not having to spend as much on the utility costs for that. And so we're looking at 6 locations. We've got Brandon Woodward with Schneider here, who's going to give a further detailed explanation and presentation of what Phase 2 will involve.
Thanks, Eric. Madam President, members of the board, Superintendent Driscoll, thank you for the opportunity to be back here in front of you tonight. And I've got slides somewhere, I'm hoping. And as she's teeing that up, as Eric mentioned, this is an extension of that first phase that last time you saw me back in January, approved Phase 1, which everything from district-wide LED lighting to water savings, artificial turf, xeriscape, et cetera. And as we were developing that Phase 1, we were also developing Phase 2 simultaneously, but for a couple reasons had to split that into 2 phases. Most importantly, so we can maximize the federal tax incentives. And we've got another big number there that we're targeting for this one. I'll share some details on that here shortly. So as Eric mentioned, this is 2 megawatts of solar at the 6 sites you see there on the right. Plenty of solar covered parking on each site. And then one creative concept that district leadership and talking to some of the principals came up with was this idea of prioritizing people over parking. By that we mean if there's an opportunity to provide shade for students, staff, parents, et cetera, there's a huge value in that being in we're in the desert, it gets hot, and so creating some more environments, shaded environments largely for students to be able to spend time outdoors was a big priority. So we've got a good balance of not only the solar covered parking, but 6 shaded basketball courts, 2 covered student pickup areas, and we'll show you some images of what these look like here in a minute. As I mentioned, that federal tax incentive, fantastic time to be looking at these projects because although it's self-funding, even if we get no grants and rebates, this $3 million in tax incentives comes back in the form of a rebate to the district, makes the payback on this look even better. And so, as Eric mentioned, one of the big goals with this was you're unique, and then you've got you're in good shape financially on the capital, the bond side, but you're a little tight on the M&O side. So solar is a perfect solution for that, and then you've got a large upfront investment that you're able to leverage and reallocate into long-term sustainable M&O savings year after year. So quickly looking at the 6 sites, you can see Mosley off to the left there, solar covered parking in the main parking area, and then 2 covered basketball courts on the west side of the school. Very similar at Nevitt on the right. You've got a little bit of covered parking in the parking lot there, and another 2 basketball courts on the east side of the school. Same with Arredondo, 2 solar arrays in the parking lot for parking. And on the north side of school, 2 more shaded basketball courts. And then Broadmoor, we've got 1 very long solar parking structure. And then that other structure there, this is something that in talking with the principal, this is an area where parents are constantly congregating to pick up students and there is little to no shade. So we came up with the idea of putting solar covered structure there for parents, students, et cetera, to provide shade in that area. Last 2 here at Sanchez, we got parking in both the front and rear of the building. And then the last one at Wood, we've got 2 long parking arrays, and then 1 more up in the north there. That's another student pickup area that's oftentimes filled with parents waiting for student pickup. And so before I get to the good part, the financials, wanted to highlight quickly the marketing and branding piece of this because the district is making a huge investment in sustainability and being where you're at in Tempe with ASU near and the city of Tempe being very pro sustainability, we want to make sure we can help market that as much as we can. So for both Phase 1 and Phase 2, we're working with the marketing department. These are just rough drafts for now, but you'll see some interior, some exterior signage highlighting the sustainability investments and also thanking voters for supporting the district and for supporting those bonds over the years. You'll also see some other creative things, a landing page for sustainability and a few other things that are currently in the works. So you'll see those start popping up here soon. And for the best part, we've got about just under $11.5 million in total project cost. That's before that ITC tax credit we mentioned, that's about $3.1 million. So the total net project cost you're looking at is about $8.4 million for this. And our goal is always to make sure we've got the savings to be able to cover that, so it's budget neutral. Looking to the right there, not only does it cover it, it almost doubles the cost of that. So this is not a small savings opportunity. This is a chance for the district to reallocate what would have been $15 million in SRP and APS bills over the next handful of years, reallocate that towards sustainability and towards some immediate M&O budget relief. Lastly, as far as next steps, pending board approval tonight, we are ready to hit the ground running and start construction as early as next month. So I'll turn it over to the board for any comments or questions.
Mrs. Windsor? Oh. Any questions? Mr. Cherry?
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you for coming again. Can you talk about the construction timeline and if it's going to carry over into next year, the next 2 years, and its impact on students while they're there?
Yes, that's a fantastic question. I would say nothing has been discussed more than the timeline on this because with everything else we're doing, the lighting, we can get in and out after hours. We've been very upfront. We're taking over parking lots, and that can be disruptive. So we've done everything in our power to align all of our construction periods over your breaks. We can't get it all done over there, but we're doing as much as we can over those break periods and minimizing the disruption as much as possible, staying away from any of the testing periods. It's going to be a disruption. We've been very upfront with that, but we've done thousands of these projects across the country and have gotten really good at getting in and out as fast as possible so that we can minimize that disruption.
Mr. Lemon?
Thank you, Madam President. I thought this was great because we're not putting new things on top of the roof of our building. And that's been one of our sticking points over many years. We didn't want to intrude into the seal. So I thought this was a really great idea from that standpoint. Second, on the covered basketball courts and other areas where some of the shade structures are more of a fabric, but this is going to be metal, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And what's the lifetime expectancy of the panels and all the accoutrements?
That's really challenging to tell. We've projected everything to 30 years, and frankly, we think that's pretty conservative. A lot of the solar estimates you'll see are 40+ years, but that's a long time. So we anticipate the lifespan of these panels to very easily be 30 years. The steel structures much longer, and of course, these start to slowly degrade over time. But you've got 30+ years out of those.
Well, and I'm thinking about the uprights and the students that are under there. Sometimes kids pick at things.
You don't say.
And so I'm just thinking about, you know, the coatings and how resilient they are, or is it something different?
So the steel itself, it's steel. I hope they can't do too much damage to that. Those are also coated when working with the schools on either doing a standardized color or even school colors, working on those pieces, but those will all be coated. And then especially under the basketball courts, the lights will be covered, all of the details will be specifically designed for that type of an environment. Again, I have 3 boys, I know how destructive they can be, so it's not child-proof, but it's as close as you can get to them.
Thank you very much.
Of course.
Thank you.
And Brendan, one question for you, or 2 questions for you. With them on the courts, because I'm going to get this question when I get home tonight, are they going to be higher so when they loft their balls, because we have so many NBA players rising up, so they'll be higher?
They are much higher, yes.
Okay. And then the second thing is, how did we choose which schools are getting these?
So we looked at every site, and there are so many factors that went into that. Part of it is the utility rate that they're on, APS versus SRP. There's some big differences there. Part of it is how long of a run there is to the electrical equipment. There were several factors. So we looked at all of the sites and narrowed it down to these. And there was a couple sites in the Phase 1 project as well as the top sites that made the most sense for solar.
Great. And then if there's an opportunity for our other schools later down the road, especially once we know how this works at the other locations, I would like to consider that if we can continue to do that. So thank
I'd be
you.
happy
so-
to help.
Yeah, I bet you would. Thank you so much. I just have to say how proud I am to be a part of a district that's doing this. We're walking the walk and we're talking the talk with our kids. We're asking them to think ahead, and they do care, and we're showing them that we care about their future. So thank you.
Of course.
Of course, Mrs. Windsor.
I apologize, I had something just trigger in my mind. I know some of our partners have utilized them being on campus to help kids with, projects or given them some experiences. Are you guys doing that so the kids can see what solar can do for them?
We've got a meeting in about 2 weeks with Katie and Michelle to have that exact same conversation, so way ahead of you.
I'm sure they are. They usually are. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Can I say one more thing? Will you tell them about the guarantee on your side about those prices? So I know we have community members that are like, oh, you say that, but how do you guarantee that?
Yeah, that's a fantastic point that I didn't touch on, was these, by statute, there's statute that supports what we're doing here. We have to physically guarantee the savings on these projects. And so in our construction contract that you've got in front of you, there is a savings guarantee piece of that if we do not meet those savings numbers, we physically write a check at the end of every year to make those up. As such, we are very conservative on the savings that we estimate for that, which makes us and you look really good when I get back up here in a year to share the results of these and where we've exceeded those by, I just shared it with another district last week and they were exceeded by almost 20%. So fairly conservative savings numbers here.
Thank you, Brandon. I
Thank you
appreciate
all.
it. All right. Do I have a motion for 7.02?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the contract with Schneider Electric for $11.48 million for utility cost savings projects.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes. 7.03, discussion, consideration, and possible acceptance of the annual comprehensive financial report, USFR compliance questionnaire, and single audit for fiscal year end June 2025. We just had a presentation on this, and do I have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the audit.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah.
Mr. Thierry?
I just wanted to say, I get to geek out on a lot of this stuff when I'm at work, and I have gone through the Arizona Auditor report, and it's so refreshing to see TD3 be consistently in good standing. We don't waste very much money in this district, and it's a testament to you, Mr. Thompson, and everyone on the team, so thank you all for that. I appreciate it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. 7.04, consideration and possible approval to adopt the Tempe Elementary School tri-district calendar for school years 2026, 27, 27, 2028, 2028, 2029. Ooh, I kind of screwed that up. With that said, Mike McGinney, can you help me mess it up?
Yes, thank you, Madam President. And I'm glad that you had to say it and not me. So I can't believe we're actually back here. It feels like we were just introducing this, but it was 2022-23 school year that we went into the efforts of the Tri-District with Kyrene and Tempe Union to look at trying to, as closely as possible, align our calendars for the sake of our community. Part of the narrative behind that was looking at, obviously, number one, how do we improve student outcomes for achievement? And so the conversation was centered around that, but also families. How do the families, a lot of our families in our community have students who attend both Tempe Elementary and Tempe Union. And so how do we try to find those parallels in the calendar? So the three districts did meet. We brought those calendars collectively for a tri-district governing board meeting to present that, and then ultimately for approval by this board for a 3-year adoption. So we're in the end of our second year, so we have one more approved calendar next school year. And so the three districts got back together to say, let's look at creating 3 more calendars so that we can continue in that process.
Do I have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve all 3 tri-district calendars for school years 26, through 29.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. Thierry?
I have concerns about the calendar, not enough to vote against it or anything. I just wanted to share just a few thoughts I had about it, that the 2-week spring break and the 2-week fall break is definitely challenging for parents, not just for me personally, but just some of the parents that I know. It's half a month. It's half a month in March, it's half a month in October, and it's different, it hits different than it does in summertime because everyone knows about summertime. Everyone knows that the kids are home and there's a lot more options there. We do have options that are available for childcare during spring break and fall break, but it's not the same. It's much more difficult to get 3 different options in place to watch your kids than it is just the one. But no matter how you slice it, with a 180-day school calendar, that means 185 days the kids aren't in school, so we got to take care of our kids on our own, which is sometimes challenging. So there's a couple of things here, and we talk about shorter summers. We are concerned about learning loss over the summer, and we all know that's a thing. I also know we have a whole bunch of college-educated people in here. I doubt very many of us want to take the ACT with confidence. Because we do lose a lot of the things that we learned because they're just simply not relevant to us. So I think that the best way to combat learning loss is to make sure that what is being taught is relevant in the first place. When we talk about learning loss, we're talking about test scores typically, and really there's 2 ways to go about that. We can either teach to the test so that we kids do better on the test, or we can admit that frankly we're not actually that concerned about what the test scores are. And definitely in my heart, there's in the latter. I don't think that extra 2 weeks is moving the needle all that much as far as the learning loss is concerned. Aligning the schedules, we definitely need to do that. I believe in more alignment across districts anyway, but that's only if it's a good idea. I think just doing it for the sake of doing it so we can all be the same is not a great idea if everyone's jumping off a bridge, that sort of a thing. When I looked at the surveys from back then in 2022, 2023, whenever they went out, it was interesting that the Kyrene families were opposed to this, and the Tempe Union families were opposed to this, and the TD3 families showed that they approved to the 222 model. However, the survey results were highly skewed. Families to staff in Kyrene were about 3-to-1, families to staff in Tempe Union were about 3-to-1, and families to staff in TD3 were about 1-to-1. We had very low turnout compared to those partner districts. Also, it was only about 1% of the survey results were the Spanish version. You all know we have significantly more than 1% Spanish speakers here in TD3. Just knowing how statistics work, if we had more participation in that, I think it probably would have aligned more with the other 3 districts because those other surveys did tend to align with those other 3 districts. I think they would have been closer to the same. And since that's the case, it would have meant the families were opposed to this. Staff were very much for it, but I think that's probably a mixture of some thought, yeah, maybe we can combat learning loss, but I would argue that there's probably just as many, if not more, that thought, hey, that'll give me 2 weeks and I can take a vacation or something. So as much as I loved that when I was a teacher, the practical nature of that over these last 2 years is I was struggling for childcare during that time. And so what I would like to see just moving forward is, again, I'm happy to vote for this, but just I would love to be more proactive with the offerings that we have over spring break, over fall break, and not just say, yes, we offer these things, but actually like, no, but seriously, every single parent, what are your plans for spring break? What are your plans for fall break? Maybe it's a form we send out. Maybe it is something that's online that we send out. And then follow up, like, hey, you said you were going to be here. Are you still doing that? Because as it is right now, you can't just drop your kid off at school and everyone expects that. And it would just be nice if that were a little bit more open. So, thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes. .05, discussion, consideration, and possible approval of a schedule of governing board meetings for 2025-2026 school year. Do I have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the schedule of governing board meetings for the 25-26 school year.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Oh, Mrs. Windsor.
Gotta get my light fixed. just wanted to ensure that we don't have any conflicts with spring and October break. I didn't have a chance to go through and align, so we're good. We avoided it this year.
Yeah,
Yes.
good question. It's all good. All those in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes. 8.01, board information. Mrs. Windsor.
Thank you, Ms. Ewers. Wanted to let everybody know that I attended Geeks Night Out and got to see CMS's jazz band perform. Saw kids engaging with the public and teaching them plenty of STEM activities. Got to see a lot of staff members and visit with them for a little bit. I have never actually been able to attend Geeks Night Out because we usually have a board meeting. So I was actually thinking I should look at the board agenda for next year and make sure that we avoided it, but I do realize my entertainment isn't necessarily as important as a board meeting. But it was fabulous, and to all of those who just dedicated so much extra time to make sure that that community event was such a success, I was grateful to be a small part of it and to see so many happy faces there. Even when you're crammed into a little narrow space and you may do like good teachers do. Good job. I had the opportunity to attend Mr. Sprickelli's funeral, which was very touching and inspiring, and it was nice to sit on the same pew as Miss Ewers and her son. Mr. Sprickelli has a personal deep meaning for me as my former principal and my son's pen pal, thanks to Tempe Elementary. So. Also, Ms. Ewers and Mr. Lemon and I attended the East Valley School Board's Consortium at EVIT, where we got a legislative update, school finance review, and a tutorial on CTE funding, which was excellent. One of the best, other than Mr. Thompson's school finance, one of the best tutorials I've ever seen, especially the CTE funding, which I didn't quite understand all that. So that was until we had and then I understand everything. I can do your job. Just kidding. Definitely not with 106 questions to answer. And then thank you to Dr. Driscoll and your team for that very quickly put out federal grants allocation executive summary. It was excellent. Super jealous of how quick you got that out. But thank you for that. It was very helpful. And I wanted to thank the Tri-District Committee for a calendar. I know I didn't have anything to say about the action item, but I do really appreciate the coordination efforts to make sure all three of us are in alignment. I appreciate the fact that we're still utilizing the survey results that we had before and keeping that conversation alive. It's very much a topic of conversation. And I appreciate that you guys are following through with what the constituents and the employees have asked for. So thank you.
Mr. Lemon.
Thank you, Madam President. Yes, I enjoyed going to the East Valley School Board Association out at EVIT. The signage was very poor, but I got a nice self-guided tour through the construction zones. On my walk, yes, I picked up extra steps at night. What was interesting about the CTED funding is that it's 9th through 12th grade or 12 plus if they're working on a certificate program. But they did mention the coordination between middle schools and going to EVIT. And I thought that was very interesting, and particularly what we've talked about doing at fees and this coordination. I thought it was just wonderful that they recognized that they wanted to do more with this. And of course, we've seen more of that in the newspapers and online. So I think it's something that we ought to talk about when we talk about programming that particular site. Thank you, Madam President.
Mr. Tier.
I don't actually have anything to say. I just found out what this button does.
Are you guys playing tricks on me? I'm being like punked up here with these little buttons. Oh, okay. Whew. Thank you. Okay, well, I want to say that EVIT event was awesome. I'd like to thank EVIT for having us. I don't feel that we wasted a moment. We learned so much. And our district, I had 2 people lean over to me and say, "You guys are the head of the game on this." And I feel like we're in the head of the game on this. So kudos to all of you. I'd like to thank chaperones. We have a lot of field trips going on. And I would like to thank the chaperones. Today is today is International Volunteer Appreciation for the entire world. So thank you to parents and families and teachers who take the extra time to do a little bit extra with our kids. And I'd like to thank the locations that allow our kids to come to them and it's affordable. Dr. Driscoll and I were able to celebrate our commitment to the National Board Certification. And I want you all to see this because I'm so excited and I'm such a geek that this is a little list. There's a lot of districts and Tempe Elementary was it. So, and we had 2 incredible teachers who won their certification or received their certification. And it's a lot. So one, it's an expense of theirs, time, money. It's an expense of our district, time and money. And it means that we believe in continuing education and again, putting our mouth putting our money where our mouth is. So we're continuing to grow teachers as we grow kids, as we grow ourselves. So congratulations to Kelsey Garner and congratulations to Heather Roberts. I was so proud to be there and I was so proud to be Tempe Elementary School District. What else do I got for you? The Happy Paraprofessionals Appreciation Day. I want to thank all the schools who did something for these amazing staff members. I received several texts today. They didn't know that they were going to get cards and they were going to have like a little, like the kids were going to celebrate them in the lunchroom and stuff. And those things go a long way. So thank you to the principals who paid attention to that. Thank you to Brittany for making sure that there was a post today on that. And you can see there's a lot of them and they do good work for our kids and our families. So thank you to all of them. And I think that's it. I will now go to 9.01, announcements and upcoming events. The Tempe Elementary School's 150th celebration will be Saturday, April 5th from 9 to noon at the Sanchez Administration Building, 3205 South Rural Road in Tempe, 85282. The Agenda Committee meeting will meet on Wednesday, April 9th, 2025 at 11 a.m. The Tempe Elementary School's Honor Band and Orchestra Concert will be Friday, April 11th, 2025 at 6 p.m. at McClintock School, 1830 East Del Rio Drive, Tempe, Arizona. And Mr. Lemon will tell you it's the best ticket in town. The next regularly scheduled governing board meeting will take place on Wednesday, April 16th, 2025 at 7 p.m. in the Karen Arredondo Governing Board Room at the Sanchez Administration Building, 3205 South Rural Road, Tempe, 85282. Spring holiday is Friday, April 18th, 2025. All Tempe Elementary Schools and district offices will be closed. The Tempe Diablos Excellent in Education Awards ceremony will be Thursday, May 8th, 2025 at 7 p.m. in the showroom at Wild Horse Pass, 5040 Wild Horse Pass Boulevard, Chandler, 85226. And I'm sorry I'm laughing because I went to the wrong building for another one of ours and I walked to an event that was definitely not our school board event. The Tempe Elementary School's retirement reception will be Wednesday, May 14th, 2025 at 6 p.m. at McCamey Academy of International Studies, 2250 South College Avenue, Tempe, 85282. Now 10.01, meeting adjournment. Do I have a motion?
Motion to adjourn tonight's meeting.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes. Thank you all for all you do and have a great night.